Right, okay, so good evening at this new time as well. So thank you for being here at 6 o'clock rather than our regular 7:30 slot. So this evening, we are very close to a half moon. I think the half moon is due in about 2 days' time. So this practice is inspired by the moon. And because it's a half moon, we're looking at this idea of achieving balance, so achieving balance in our practice. Now, one of the other things that I have been, or I intend for us to work with over the course of the next few weeks, is this idea of freedom and what freedom means to you, whether that is a sense of freedom in the body, freedom in the mind. And so it's an invitation really for you to start to explore that for yourselves in all sorts of different ways. And in order for us to be able to explore the idea of freedom, we need to feel balanced, and the balance goes hand in hand with the sense of being grounded as well. So that's what we're going to work on this evening. So if you would like to come and lie down, and we're going to bring our soles of the feet together, coming into a supine bound angle. So Sukhasana position, but supine. And just, if you need to support underneath your legs, if you've got your bricks available, pop your bricks underneath. This is a wide and deep hip opener. So initially, if you need to really bring those hips up so they feel like they're quite, the knees are quite high and you're not as open in your hips, then please go ahead and do that. And you can explore the posture by using the bricks in a variety of ways. So you can also pop the bricks. What I've done is I've put my bricks here onto the shortest edge and have popped them underneath my knee so that I can still come into this posture, but it's not particularly deep. And do you know what? Even if your body is used to opening up in this really deep hip opener, you just take a moment to sense into it. Just take a moment, because you might find that actually tonight is one of those nights where you don't want to work as deeply. So sometimes just because we can doesn't mean to say that we should. So take a moment to find yourself on your mat, settling into the posture. And then please take your hands to your lower belly so that the middle finger just touches. So the hands are below the belly button. We're going to breathe into the belly, and we're going to, you're familiar with 3-part breath. So we're going to work with our 3-part breath. So initially, just focusing your attention on your breath, entering through the nostrils, leaving via the nostril space, unless you're really bunged up and that's difficult, and then perhaps just applying that idea to one way, so whether that's on the inhale or the exhale, and persist with the breathing through the nostrils, because even when we feel bunged up, when we persist with it, we can actually clear any clogginess. And if you're comfortable about persisting with it, become aware of any anxiety that might arise. Now, I know that I find that in my own practice, if I feel really bunged up and I'm asking myself to breathe through both my nostrils and in and out, And it can feel a little bit anxiety making because obviously our breath is short, and the last thing we want to feel is that we're not getting enough breath into our system. So what can you do if that is an experience that you're having, or even if it's not tonight, but you know that it's a familiar experience to you? What is it you can offer yourself in terms of support? And that might be reassurance to say you are safe. You can breathe through your mouth at any point. So you are safe, and that you're choosing to explore breathing through the nose. And then we're going to deepen the breath. So as we deepen the breath, this is what I'd like you to focus on. Drawing the breath deep down into the belly initially, and then up into the middle of the body, and then finally up into the chest. So if it helps you to be able to do this and to trace that topping up really through the torso of the breath, then have one hand on the lower belly and one hand on the chest, the upper chest, just above the heart center. And breathing into the belly, feeling the belly expand, breathing into the middle of the body, and then finally up into the upper chest. And then as you exhale, you're exhaling from the top, middle, and bottom. So tracing this movement of the breath, feeling the sensations, being aware of any talk, internal dialogue, anything that may be causing consternation. Adjust the practice if you need to. So we're looking for a lovely, slow, even rhythm. Inhale, the length of the inhale matching the length of the exhale. So when we look at balance, we're looking at balance in the body, the physical body, but also in the mind, so our mental state and our psychological state. What does that mean? It's that equilibrium. And the body is always searching to come back to homeostasis, which is actually a form of equilibrium, balance. An equilibrium is that state in which opposing forces or influences are balanced. So we're going to feel into the left and right hand sides of our bodies, the yin and the yang, the Ida, the Pingala, the female and the masculine tonight. So the invitation for your breath practice is to remain with your diaphragmatic breath. And now perhaps just releasing the hands away from the legs and from the chest, and gather up the legs and draw the knees in towards each other, and just give yourself a little bit of a hug up, a little bit of a squeeze, and then place the feet back down onto the mat. Spread the arms out wide so that the palms are turning up, and then allow the knees to drop over to the right hand side, coming into a twist. Inhale, bring the knees back to center on your inhale, and with your exhale, slowly releasing the opposite side. Now really pairing the breath and the movement. So allow the breath to be the trigger that starts and ends the movement. So this is where we become mindful, meditative. This is where we match the intention of movement to what's actually going on with the breath. It helps us to slow down. It helps us to move into the parasympathetic nervous system. And what we're looking to do is to balance between the parasympathetic nervous system and our sympathetic nervous system. And that is really crucial to our day-to-day well-being. We spend a lot of time quite often in the sympathetic nervous system. So we really want to slow this down, allow the breath to be your guide. The next time you take the legs over to the right-hand side, leaving them there so that we can just breathe into the twist. And if you want to intensify the twist in your body, draw the knees higher up. You can always pop a hand on top of that top knee. The knees are still resting on the floor, but we've just deepened the hinging at the hips. The top hand can act as a little bit of a counterweight if you want to use it like that. Feeling into that twist. Breathing into it. Using the breath to support the posture. And then on your next inhale, lift the legs back up to center, nice and slowly with awareness, and then exhaling them over the opposite side. Again, just allowing the knees to soften down towards the floor. If you need to pop a block or a brick underneath that lower leg, you can do that. If the legs are floating, make it as comfortable as you can so that the body feels supported. The more that the body feels supported, the more it is going to be inclined to open out and relax. Just taking one more round of breath on this side of the body. And then inhale, the knees come back up to center. And let's just hug the knees back in again. Giving yourself another little bit of a hug and a rock from side to side. Okay, so we're going to come into a supine version of half moon. So allow the legs to come back down onto the mat. Come into Tadasana so that you're lying down. So we'll lie down, coming into Tadasana. So this is a supine version of our standing pose. So you want to be nice and active through the legs. So draw the toes up towards the ceiling and push the feet away, the heels. It's the heels that you're working away from you. The toes are working up towards the ceiling. And then we're going to take both arms out to the sides. So they're around about shoulder height, unless there's tightness in the shoulders. And if there is, adjust the height of the shoulders so that it feels comfortable. And now, if you know that you can engage with Mula Bandha, engage and draw up through Mula Bandha. It's that soft squeezing at the perineum. Draw the belly button in towards the spine. And then see if you can roll the lower ribs in towards the rib cage. So we're really working into the core of the body now. So just holding this and feeling the sensation. So hopefully, sometimes it's also quite a good, one way of thinking about this is as though you've got those super, super skinny jeans that we wanted to wear in the 1970s. I'm that old. And you really had to tuck your tummy in to be able to zip them up and squeeze them on. So that's what we're doing, this zipping up. I think they talk about it in Pilates. And breathing, so holding all that muscular tone in the torso, and yet you're still breathing, you're not restricting your breath. Now this is quite a challenge. Okay, so next thing, we're going to bend the right knee and then send the sole of the foot up towards the sky. Lengthen out through the leg. Continue to lengthen through the leg and then allow the leg to roll over to the floor. So we're opening out through that leg. So this is, again, another big, deep hip opener. And then turn and gaze down the right hand. So I'm hoping now, if your leg is on the floor, so we're not crossing the leg, we're going the opposite way. So the right leg has come all the way over to the right hand side. Yeah, lovely. And then take a little bit of roll onto that hip, the right hip. And it's the left foot. If you were to imagine that you were standing on your left foot, no, sorry, not your left foot, you were standing on your right foot, it's your left foot that would be lifted, the leg would be lifted up off the mat. So that we're kind of replicating, I'm hoping we're replicating a supine version of half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Okay, so just re-engaging with the stomach muscles again, and then really re-engage with the stomach muscles so that you can lift that leg, the right leg, back up to center, bend it and draw it into the chest so that you can release it and then send it back down onto the mat. Okay, so you come back to this supine Tadasana. The arms are still pretty much where they were, and then bending the left knee and then send the foot up towards your ceiling again. So the toes are tucking towards the shins, towards the chin, and you're pressing the heel of the foot up towards the ceiling, so you're nice and strong through this leg. Re-engaging with your stomach muscles again, and then allow the left leg to go out to the left-hand side. And then you're rolling a little bit over onto that right hip, and imagine that you are actually, if somebody was to come over and lift you up, they could literally lift your body up and stand you onto your left foot. That's what you're aiming for, really. And you can turn to gaze either down towards the left foot, or you can gaze towards the opposite hand. And keeping the right leg nice and long, that's still active. You want to be nice and active through the ankle. And breathing, lots to do here. So even though we're lying down, this is a pretty strong posture to work with. Okay, so to bring that leg back up again, engage through your stomach muscles. That's going to protect the lower back. It'll also support the inner thigh. And then you may want to take a slight bend in that leg as you lift it back up to center. Bring the knee into the chest, hug it in. Okay, brilliant. Releasing and then bringing both knees up to the chest and have a little roll from side to side. Taking a roll from side to side and then rolling over onto the side of your body, or you can roll forwards and backwards, whichever way you want to come up, and we're coming up onto all fours. Okay, so coming onto all fours, let's explore the spine. So cat-cow. So an invitation for you this evening. When you're in cow, have a go at, let me get this right now. So allow the toes to be flat on the mat like this. So the tops, so the top of the feet are flat on the mat. And then when you come into cat, tuck the toes and press down through the ball of the foot. Well, it's kind of like the edge of the ball of the foot, really, so that you can feel that you're lengthening through the plantar fascia. Okay? So let's start with the tops of the toes on the mat. Inhale, come into your cow, and then tucking the toes, you can roll your way back into cat. So take 5 cat-cow. So see if you can have the eyes closed maybe, so that you can allow the movement to flow from the tailbone all the way to the top of the head and back again. And with the eyes closed, you can really explore the spine. Press through the hands as you come into your cat. Last time in cat. And then press the buttocks back towards the heels and come into an extended child's pose. In extended child's pose, have the hands grounding down into the mat, but the arms are off. You can have the forehead down, resting down onto the mat, or you can just pop a brick underneath just to support for a moment. Breathing into the back of the body. And then walking the hands over to your right hand side. Walk them all the way around as far as you can. And you might want to come up onto your fingertips now. So if you come up onto your fingertips, you're tenting the hands. And that means you have to keep the arms active. And that really helps to open into the side ribs. So you'll feel the intercostal muscles. They're opening up, and also into your shoulder joint as well. So with these small but very important muscles that sit around the shoulder joint. And then walk the hands back to center again, coming over to the left hand side, feeling into the waist on the opposite side. How does that feel for you? Again, breathing into the side of the body. Even into your arms, you might feel that there's some lengthening happening down the arms, especially when you've got the hands active. And then we're going to walk our way back. And we're coming back to a tabletop position. Okay, so re-engaging your core, so lifting up Mula Bandha, drawing the belly button to the spine, and maybe working with Uddiyana Bandha as well to get nice and stable. You want to have the hands so they're shoulder width apart, knees they're hip width apart. And then inhale your right leg, lengthening it behind you. And as you exhale, you're going to curl it underneath and you're going to try to take your nose to the knee. And then inhale, lift the leg out, lengthen it. Exhale, bring the nose towards the knee. So 5 times on either side. Really focusing on the breath. Maintaining stability through your core. Last time on your right hand side, and then the knee comes down. Just reset for a moment. Take a breath here, and then on your next inhale, leg comes out, stretch it behind you, and then inhale in. And as you stretch the leg out behind you, you can look forward, so you're lengthening through the whole of the body, and then curl the nose to the knee. So see if you can really find these opposing forces of contraction and extension through the body. Twice more. Where is the balance? So keeping your core engaged. Knee comes down, release yourself back onto your heels. So you come into thunderbolt pose, and we're just going to release out through the wrists for a moment. Releasing both ways. And we're going to come into a balancing cat. So we really want to set up through the core again. So coming back onto or into your tabletop position. So resetting your core, the 2 bandhas, and drawing the belly button into the spine. Extend out through your right leg. Inhale it up and make sure that the toes are pointing down towards your mat. Even take a look. And as you take a look back, you'll be able to see if your hips are level. So you want to keep the hips level. Stay here, or as in the arm, opposite arm. So left arm comes up and you lengthen. So you're lengthening in a diagonal way. You really want to feel that the femur, so the thigh bone is really working out of the hip, and it's the same with the arm. We're lengthening across the body, really working into our heel and our fingertips. Breathing. And exhale the hand down, the knee comes down. Okay, just release off the right wrist, because that may feel like it's been quite strong through your right wrist. Give it a little bit of a shake. If you need to come onto your fists because the wrists are aching, you can do that. You can also do that in this posture. Or you can come onto forearms. This is another way, actually. If your wrists are really playing up and you don't want to be on your fist, you can come onto your forearm. That will still work. Okay, so reset your core again. Extend out through the left-hand side, lifting that leg. And then you can add in the arm. Again, being nice and strong through the core. That's going to create the balance in this posture. Breathing. One more round. And releasing the hand down, knee down, and just press your way back again into an extended child's pose. Just releasing out. Allow the forearms to release down onto the mat, and you may just want to release out through your wrists, giving them a little bit of a wriggle. Okay, so there's quite a lot of work that we're going to continue to do with our wrists. So if you need to have a rest at any point and just come down into a child's pose, then please go ahead and do that. Okay, so coming back to your tabletop. Let's sweep the left foot at a right angle off the mat and extend out through your right foot. And actually, sorry, I should have said this, but if you've got your brick available to you, could you just pop a brick under the left hand? And you want to have the arm in alignment with the shoulder. Okay, so we're in a bit of a gate pose here. So come up into your gate pose. Inhale, your left arm comes over and work into the side body. Exhale, take the left hand down onto the brick, top arm comes over. Inhaling, lifting back up, coming over. And exhaling back onto the brick. Okay, we're just going to do this once more. And the next time the left hand comes down onto the brick, what you're going to do is you're going to engage through that right foot and lift up through the right leg. So press the heel away again, nice and strong. What's happening in the torso? So if you can get a sense, we're actually in a form of Ardha Chandrasana. Okay, so stay here if you want to, continue to flow if you want to, or we can come into a mini sugar cane by bending the knee of the lifted leg, taking hold of the foot, and then pressing the foot into the hand and opening out through the chest. Keep the knee at shoulder height. That would be interesting. Hip height. And then release that leg out. Keep it up. It's not going down on the mat yet. And then exhale the foot down. And to pick up your brick, bringing it over opposite side, coming to a high kneel, extending out through the left foot. And we're going to sweep through our gate pose to feel into the side waist. Don't know about you guys, but my side waist feels quite tight on my right hand side. So if you want to have a couple more flows with this, you can build this up however you want. So you can stay flowing, or you can come to the next stage. The next stage is to take the hand onto the brick and then lift the leg. Lifting the leg, and then you may want to bring it into your sugar cane, press the foot into the hand, opening up through the heart center. Breathing. Releasing the hand away, take the foot back out. So let's hold for 3 more rounds if we can. And exhale, that foot comes back down. Okay, excellent. So coming back to square off onto the mat, we're going to come up into our downward facing dog. So tuck the toes and come up into your downward facing dog. Just find your downward facing dog, walking out through the backs of the legs. And then taking a gaze forward, inhale the right leg high, step it forward, drop your back knee and sweep the arms up. We're coming into a crescent moon. So if it's comfortable for you, bring the palms together, or you can have the palms facing. Take a back bend, explore your back bend, squeeze the inner thighs in towards each other, engaging through your core. One more round of breath. And exhale. Hands come down to the mat. Step back into your plank. Hold plank or half plank, and then come down through chaturanga or knees, chest, chin, or rolling through the knees and lift up into a cobra. So a sort of a mini-ish halfway house cobra. Just holding cobra. And then exhale down to the mat. Tuck your toes and press your way into downward facing dog. Holding downward facing dog, 3 rounds of breath. Grounding down through the hands. Taking the gaze forward again, inhale, left leg high, step it forward. Walk it forward, drop the back knee, and then sweep the arms back up again. Palms can face, or you can bring the palms together. Remember to squeeze those inner thighs in towards each other. Lift up through your bandhas. There's your balance, there's your strength. This is like a mini balancing posture, this posture. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. And step your way back into plank or half plank. And then come down onto the mat how you'd like to. Lift your way up into cobra again. Soft through the shoulders, they're down, back. Grounding into the tops of the legs. One more round of breath. Exhale, coming down to the mat. Press your way back into your downward facing dog again. Looking forward, we're either going to step walk or hop our way to the top of the mat and fold down into Uttanasana. So maybe just catching hold of the elbows, make sure the feet are a hip width apart, and then sway from side to side, working into your side waist. Allow the head to be heavy, shoulders nice and soft, arms heavy and long, knees are bent. We're going to come back to a static position, but allow the body to come back in its own time. So it's like a metronome or a swing. It'll just stop in its own time. So really allow that to happen. Release the hands and ragdoll your way up to standing. Or unravel yourself. Okay, so welcome. So coming to stand at the top of the mat. You can take the hands onto the hips. Allow the shoulders to slide down the back again. And again, we're lifting up through our bandhas, drawing the belly button in towards the spine. And then lifting up through that right heel, take a step back and come alongside of the mat. So quite a wide stance. You may want to just walk in a little bit as we adjust the feet, but we're bringing the heels in, the toes are out, and we're sitting on the diagonal. And then we're going to sink our way down into goddess pose. So in goddess pose, see if you can tuck the tailbone. So it's really easy to do this. So what we're doing is tucking the tail and then sitting down as deep as we can do. And what we really want ideally is for the knees to be relatively tracked over the ankles. So that, that can be quite a challenge. Bring the arms out and into cactus. And then you can't quite see my hands here, but as though you're pulling down, we're going to go pull down, press up, release, pull down, press up, lovely. So we come into a 5-pointed star and then back into goddess pose. As you come down, breathe out. And once more. Coming into your 5-pointed star, hands come to the hips. Turn the feet. Okay, we're taking the arms out. Slight bend in that knee and coming over into a trikonasana. Holding your trikonasana, triangle. Top arm can be up, or if it's too tight in the shoulder, you don't want to do that, fold it, drop it behind you. You can still open out. In actual fact, this is a nicer way sometimes to practice in this posture. You can really open out through the heart. Turn the head, slight bend in the knee. We're going to bring both hands to the mat again and step back, and we're taking a vinyasa. So come down onto the mat in the way that you like to, lift up into cobra, roll over into your downward facing dog. Just taking one round of breath. And then look forward, and you can either step walk or hop your way to the top of the mat, fold down. So again, the knees are bent. Allow yourself to really ease into your Uttanasana, forward fold. And press your way back up. Okay, so I'm going to come, sorry, I was just thinking I need to adjust the way I work here. Taking the hands back to the hips. I'm going to step back out again, nice and wide. This time we're widening the legs even further. We're going to take a forward fold, have a slight bend in the knee, lift up and fold over. If you want to work with your bricks here, you can have your bricks underneath your hands to work down onto the bricks. Nice and long in the spine. Lift up into your Uddiyana Bandha. Roll those lower ribs into the spine. Draw the belly button in and lift up through Mula Bandha. Nice and strong here. Okay, you can stay here, or you can fold further and walk the hands in between the feet. Hands can be in between the feet, elbows bent. Breathing. Keep the bandhas, the core strong. And then walking the hands back underneath the shoulders. Turn the heels in and walk the feet in just once, one step. And then lean into your left leg to come into what's a low side lunge. I don't think what it's called. Okay, now from here, if you'd like to find your balance point, get your brick and come and rest on your brick. Lift yourself up nice and tall, and then it might be that you can bring your hands together whilst you're balancing. Really nice and strong. Whoops, I've lost mine. That's the other thing. The toes are pointing up, but they don't have to. If you want to find your balance point but not have the toes pointing up, you can ground down through the feet as well. Okay, exhale, hands onto the brick. Lift up, or actually don't do that. Just shoot the brick over the other side and then walk your way over opposite side using your hands, and then coming back into this squat position. So if this is too tight on knees and hips, you can do this at a much higher place. So you can come up here. We can do the same thing. We don't have to come deep down into this. Bring the toes up, find your balance point, and bring the palms together. Lovely. So here's the balance. What needs to happen to find your balance? Using the drishti. And I like it. Exhale, hands come down onto the mat and come back to your center point. Okay, so we're going to turn the feet the opposite side of the mat, the back end of your mat. Nice fold through this front leg as you press your way up, and then coming into a Trikonasana on this side. So that back foot needs to be roughly 45-degree angle, front foot. You're ideally lining up the heel with the inner arch. Inhale, arms up, or not. Remember, you don't have to work with your arms. Exhale, working over, and then coming into Trikonasana on this side. So feeling into it, and how does it feel for you on this side? So I've definitely got an imbalance between my right and left hip, and at the moment I've got quite a lot going on down in my lower back, and so it feels much tighter in my right hand side than it does in my left. So I'm just coming up, I'm lifting myself up, tucking the tail, even to the point where I can have my hand on the thigh. Remember, this top hand can come behind you. So it's not how far down we go. It's about working with your body, what feels right for you. Okay, turn the head to gaze towards that big turn, and then slight bend in the knee to press your way back up. Turning and stepping towards the top of the mat. So we're going to take a Surya Namaskar. So standing with the feet together, hands down by the sides, standing in Tadasana. Let's take a lovely deep inhale, gazing to thumbs. Exhale, float down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, step back, right, left into plank, half plank or tabletop. Come down, knees just chin, chaturanga, lifting into upward facing dog or cobra, and then pressing back into downward facing dog. Looking forward, inhaling, right, left to the top of the mat, fold down. Press through the feet, inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands down through the midline and keep it flowing, inhaling. Exhale, float down. Lifting to halfway. Exhaling, stepping back, left, right, this time into plank, down onto the mat, up into your cobra, pressing back into downward facing dog. Left leg leads, left, right, fold down. Inhale, and exhale, hands come down. So let's keep this flowing, inhaling. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, lift up. Step back, right, left into plank or half plank. Down onto your mat. Cobra, upward facing dog. Press your way into downward facing dog. And then this time, inhaling, right leg high, step it forward, leave the left foot at the back of the mat and come into a warrior one position. So your brick, if you can take hold of your brick and pop it to the corner of the mat. We're going to open up into warrior two and then come over into our Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. So take the hand down onto the brick, lifting the leg, lifting the arm. This top arm doesn't need to stay here. It can come behind you. What we're aiming to do is really press through the heel of the lifted leg, toes are nice, and tuck towards the shin, and we're opening out. And our gaze can either stay forward, well, sort of at a horizontal level, or you can look up towards the hand. And for those of you that want to, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, you can take the foot and take sugar cane in the standing position, nice and strong through your bandhas. Notice how when you're lifting up through the bandhas, it gets lighter through the arms. Release the foot again, slight bend in the knee as you bring that back foot down, back into warrior two. And then roll the hands forward and step your way back into a plank. Come down onto your mat, lift up into cobra. Tucking the toes, you're back in your downward facing dog. Gazing forward, inhaling, left leg comes high, step it back, back foot goes onto the mat, sweeping the arms up into your warrior two. Find warrior two, nice and strong. Then coming down onto your brick, lifting that leg up, nice and strong in that leg, and lifting the arm, or remember the arm can tuck behind you. And if you don't want to do this, if you just want to have a little rest, it's perfectly fine too. This is strong. If you want to come into your sugar cane, you can come into it. Release out through the leg. Take that foot back down. Lifting back into warrior two. Brilliant. And then just once more, vinyasa. Stepping back onto your mat. Lift up into cobra. And this time, rather than coming into downward facing dog, come into an extended child's pose. And then sweep the arms around you, wrapping the arms around your thighs. So quite a strong and fairly fast, rigorous flow. So allow the breath to come back to its familiar pattern. And then inhale yourselves up to a seat. So before we come into Shavasana, we are going to practice Nadi Shodhana. Beautiful pranayama practice that is obviously focused on balancing out the right and the left parts of our energy system and also our brain. So take a comfortable seat and use a block, pop a block underneath your seat if you need to, or even if you don't need to. Take it even if you know that you're quite comfy, working without it. It's nice to have that support sometimes. And if your knees are floating and they're really high, get hold of the bricks and pop them underneath as well, so that you feel nice and supported. And if you don't want to be in cross-leg position, then come into a different position. So finding something that feels comfortable for you. Okay, so Nadi Shodhana, we're going to work with 16 rounds of breath. So 2 times 8. So taking your hands to whatever mudra you like to use. I'm going to use the index middle finger to the third eye. Allow the thumb to rest on one nostril, the ring finger to rest on the other nostril, and we'll just allow the breath to settle a moment. So let's just observe the breath. I'll count you in. So we'll take 2 inhale, exhales through both nostrils, and then we'll begin. So let's inhale, exhale through both nostrils. Inhaling, exhale, and begin. Inhaling. So closing off the left nostril, exhale down the right. Inhale up the right nostril. Close off, exhale down the left. Inhaling at the left nostril. Closing off, exhale down the right. That's 1 round. Inhaling up the right nostril. Close off, exhale down the left. Inhale up the left. Close off, exhale down the right. That's 2 rounds. Inhaling up the right nostril. Exhaling down the left. Inhaling up the left nostril. Exhaling down the right. That's 3 rounds. And continue in your own time to practice a further 5 and 8, whatever that is, 13 rounds. So as you're practicing, keeping your focus on the rhythm and the number of rounds, know that this practice really is effective at balancing out the right and left hand side of the brain. So it's thought that the energy system, the energy channels in the yogic philosophy cross at the bridge of the nose and sort of the corner of the eye. So we have an energy channel that comes up the left-hand side, Ida, female, yin in quality. It comes all the way up the left-hand side and up into the neck, and then crosses at that point around by the eye and goes into the right brain, right-hand side of the brain, the creative part of the brain. Same with the right-hand side of the energy system. So that is our masculine energy. It's the hot as opposed to the cool. It's the yang to the yin. Pingala. Pingala is the name for it in Sanskrit, yogic philosophy. And again, as we inhale up through that right-hand side, it's crossing over into the left-hand part of the brain, which is considered to be more of our thinking, process-driven side of the brain. And as you're using this breath practice, you may also become aware of perhaps one nostril being more open than the other. That's quite common. And it's also really common for the openness to switch. I think it's every hour and a half it tends to switch. When you've completed all 16 rounds of breath, no rush, just allow the hand to come down onto the lap. Keep the eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Notice the effects of the practice. So no rush with this, wherever it is that you are. I can't see all of you, so it's hard for me to know. But once you've completed your Nadi Shodhana practice, you can allow yourself to roll down onto your mat and come into Shavasana. So no rush. Once you've completed Nadi Shodhana, just sit with it for a few moments, allowing the body to calibrate the experience. So the nose, the nostril space can feel really cool, and the head can feel quite cool as well. Is there a sense of being balanced? When you're ready, allow yourself to come down onto your mat. Once you're down on the mat, releasing the ankles, allow the feet to drop out to the side, allow the knees to be soft, soften the hips, soft at the waist and the lower back. Soft in the belly. Soft into the shoulders, the chest, upper chest. Soft in the hands, the fingers, the wrists and the arms. And then maybe soft chin as the chin drops towards the throat, and you can feel the back of the neck opening slightly. And imagine softening behind the eyes. Or perhaps the forehead smoothing. And a softness at the jaw and at the root of the tongue. So taking this moment to allow the practice to integrate. Allowing the body to rest. Okay, so we're going to come back out of Shavasana. However, if you would like to remain in Shavasana, then please do that. And we'll aim not to disturb you. But if you are ready to move, then you're very welcome to go ahead and move the body so that you can prepare yourself to roll over onto the side of your body. And then get to a place where you can come up to a seated posture. But a real invitation to stay in Shavasana if it's available to you, if you've got the time. Okay, so once you are in that seated position, let's just bring the hands together. And then I'd like to just bow the head for a moment and thank yourself, showing yourself gratitude for taking the time to roll your mat out this evening to practice. Thank you for a lovely practice. Have a lovely evening. Namaste. Looks like everybody's disappearing. Have a good evening, everyone. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Bye, Fran. What was that?